Hey guys and gals, welcome back to the channel. On a previous video, the one up here above, we discussed the new King Cutter 7-foot rear blade that I picked up from Tractor Supply. And now, like I mentioned in that video, I got it for a pretty good deal. I spent just less than 300 bucks on it, as Tractor Supply was trying to get rid of the old inventory from Orscheln Farm and Home. And in this video, I wanted to show you guys the concept I came up with to replace the hardened steel edge with a plastic edge that's affordable. Well, in the world of affordable, less than 50 bucks, and I'm hoping it's gonna last. There are other options out in the market for cutting edges. You could buy polypropylene, you could buy urethane cutting edges, you can buy UHMW cutting edges. There's all sorts of different kinds of plastics you can use. All of which are for this size of blade, $250 or more. Generally speaking, $300 or more, depending upon what you want to do. So what I did, tried to engineer something. And when I mean engineer, problem solve in this situation. Something that is, cost effective, is gonna last, hopefully, and it's something you all could do to retrofit your blade. Now, I can't necessarily say I recommend this for, commercial applications, or maybe it will work. I don't know. You can be the judge of that. But the intent of this is that I can use it on my plow. We can modify it, take this one off, drill some holes in it, and use some new grade 5 bolts to bolt it in place and try it out. One thing I also did mention is, this concrete in front of my house isn't that old. Still smells like freshly poured concrete. No, it doesn't really smell like anything at all, but I don't want to scar it up. I'll show you guys some video here of, I took this blade out to try it out to see what it would do, and it really does scar it up pretty bad. It's hard to see the marks, but you can see where it's dragging down and scuffing up the concrete. Not a huge deal, but again, I don't want that all the way down here. Not yet. Let's try to keep things cosmetically looking okay as long as it can. Why would you just destroy it? It'd be like taking a nail down the side of your truck. Oh yeah, we want to scratch. Well, scratches are inevitable. This isn't going to stay new forever. But why would you want to do it until it has to happen? And not to mention, is it better on my driveway? But it's quieter. If you're out at 5 a.m. in the morning having to plow it, and you got kids inside, these metal edges are loud. Plastic is much quieter, and I'm not going to do a sound-o-meter comparison, but it's significantly different. I think you guys get the picture of how loud it could be, or can be, or will be. So for at least now, I'm going to try to keep it in its best shape that I can, and thought it would be great to use a soft plastic edge. Now this stuff I mentioned, you're probably wondering what it is. This is plastic lumber. No, this is not composite decking. This isn't wood fiber filled materials, Ultra Deck or Terex decking or any of that fancy composite stuff. This is purely recycled plastic. Now the supplier, I picked this up at Menards. I had to special order it because they didn't have 2x6 on hand. But this specific plastic is a proprietary blend of recycled plastics. From what I can tell and understand in research, recycled plastics in general are PVC, UHMW, polypropylene, polyethylene, and stuff of that nature. I believe this is 98% recycled plastics. So, it's worth a shot is what I'm trying to tell you guys. Yeah, I got my special order ticket down here. I'll rip that off. Like I had mentioned a couple seconds ago, I did have to special order this. They didn't have 2x6 on hand. They did have landscape timbers and 4x4s. So maybe depending upon your application, you can use that. But this stuff is heavy and it's very rigid. I was doing a test just because I was curious how hard it really is. And generally speaking, in the machining world, you get an idea of hardness by using one of these things, a file. Now this is plastic. Steel is significantly harder as far as, overall hardness across the scale, but this is plastic. So on the scale of plastic hardness, I wanted to see what would happen. So I took a file across it. And you get a little bit coming off on the file, but it really does not affect this too much. And in my experience with machining plastic over the years and or, playing with plastic, That's not really a whole lot different in results with the file than I would normally see with a polypropylene, UHMW, nylon, something of that nature. So to tie a bow around this section, we're going to take this is an 8-foot section, we're going to cut a foot off, we're going to take off the rear blade, or hardened edge, we're going to transfer the holes over, we're going to drill them through this piece, and then we're going to attach them, again, picking up some new materials. This board was less than $50 delivered. I had to pay a little extra for the handling fee because it was a one piece, it wasn't a full lot. But then I had to spend $12 in bolts. I probably could have went with a lower grade, but grade 5 is what they have in the edge. So I just copied the same materials over. Enough for the talking. We'll see how this goes. It turns out, at least for the installation, I will have to share with you guys more of how it works and lasts over time. But again, I think this could be a very good option. We'll have to see how it all plays out and how long it does last. We only get a few handfuls of like meaningful snowfall here. Do I actually need to plow it? So really I need to get through about 2 months worth of plowing, maybe 8 times a year. Well, eight times a year, I can guarantee this is gonna last through that. And at $50, I could replace this every year and still not cost me what one plastic edge would cost over a 5-year span if I were to buy 100% pure virgin UHMW or cast polyurethane. Enough talking, let's go ahead and get this hardened edge off and start transferring the pattern over to bolt this new one on. Go ahead in here and just pop them off. Now by design, let's just put on here with a few bolts. Pretty easy to take off. Careful when doing this. You don't want to get your fingers caught in anything. It's going to hurt. I did buy the same size bolts. These specific ones are a 5/8. I went to a 3-inch from 1.5 inches to give me space for the board. I can reuse the locking washers and nuts from the back of the blade here. Save a little bit of money. Save money where you can. There's no reason to make it any more expensive than it needs to be. Perfect. Good enough anyway. We're gonna go ahead and mark the center of these holes. We're gonna use a transfer punch. Now they're not exactly the right size, but it's gonna work again for what we are doing. Just wanna see where it was at in the middle. We're gonna drill the holes a little oversized anyways. Because, we all know that I can't do anything right the first time. Stuff's pretty hard. This plastic's really pretty hard stuff, so I think it's gonna last just fine. Got all the holes marked. Go ahead and mark the end with a pencil. All right, perfect. I'll set that down there right in the way for now. Maybe hard for you guys to see on camera here, but you can see my marks. Pretty clear. Clear as day. So we're gonna go ahead and get a drill. Like I said, these are 5/8 bolts. So we're gonna add a little bit of clearance and go one size larger. 0.625 is the drill size, and we're gonna go one size bigger. Since the holes are 5/8, we're gonna go ahead and use a 3/4 inch drill. Again, this is not a precision application. We just need the bolt to do its job. And in the absolute worst case, we get to add a washer to it. And that's fine. No problem there. I don't think we're going to have to. But, you know, I'm not going to fight it, putting it on, is what I'm trying to tell you guys. Ain't doing it. Ain't fighting it. Get my Dewalt drill and my spade drill. Let's see how she goes. Safety glasses. Here we go. Perfect. It actually cuts pretty well. I like it. Oh yeah. That's gonna be perfect. Okay, next hole. Cuts very similar to other plastics, as you'd imagine. Throw a Christmas tree bit in here and just clean up the holes a little bit. Just touch them up. Okay, let's go ahead and cut the end off that we don't need. Like butter. Good carbide blade makes quick work of a lot of things. Hopefully, you know, I did this right. That'd be great. Measure once, cut 7 times. That's generally how it works for me. We'll see. I mean, what I could do too is run a bevel across the back side of this, but I'm gonna try to do this as simple as possible to keep it simple. I think this might just work. Well, everything's lining up nice, so let's go ahead and get them tightened down. All right, we're gonna go ahead and throw the lock nut back on and then the nuts. Everything lined up well, so I must have did something kind of right. Anyway, we're not gonna need that for now. Let's go ahead and get all these started. Yeah, you could countersink these in, and it would help you, you know, do all this, but that's extra effort. I don't know if this stuff's even gonna work. Like I said, I'm pretty confident this is going to work out fine, but you just never know. Could have probably gone with a 2.5 inch versus a 3-inch bolt, but it wasn't worth the 30 cents to chance it. Installed. Perfect. There she is, bolted in place. Check out the back side here. We got the bolt sticking through. Just to give you an idea again, this is a 2x6, and I have right about 1 3/4 inch of wear edge here. Be nice, it's on center, so I can flip this over and have another edge of the same size. And then when I'm done, I got some material in the middle I can use for something else. One thing to note, I think you guys probably saw on that edge there, it was kind of disc-shaped, and I could put this on the table saw or on the circular saw and maybe put a nice clearance edge on that, but I am not going to worry about it for now. If it becomes a problem, then we may worry about that more later. Now, all that's going to do is, well, it depends on how I have it tilted. It doesn't really matter because this edge is square to whatever I have it up there. Now, would it give you better contact to this overall piece? Probably. No, there's no doubt probably it would. But for what we're doing here, it's going to work fine. We're moving snow, okay? We're not moving piles of rock and other things like that. I'm really happy with how this is turning out. I'm very curious to see how well this is going to withstand the driveway. Again, I can tell you, the stuff is not very soft. They recommend using a carbide edge to cut it, which I could tell a huge difference on the circular saw because it's carbide teeth on it, how much better it cut it than that actual spade drill did. Now I don't have any bigger machine drills I could have used that would have got me through there. I do have a couple of 3/4 inch carbide end mills, but it worked fine. Just took me a couple minutes longer. Let me get a broom quick so I can sweep this up, and I'll drop it down to the ground and see how it looks. I think that's going to work great. We're going to have to tilt the blade forward just a skosh. We need to shorten that top link in a little bit and bring the blade, like this. But I think it's going to work fine. You can see here, I got a little bit of a small gap in the front, but when we start pulling that forward and, we tilt it in, it's never going to know. And we'll be able to drag the front edge, or at least maybe square. We'll see how it all works out. But initially, I'm super happy with how it's turned out. And unfortunately, we don't have any snow in the forecast for the next 2 weeks. It's actually abnormally warm. I wouldn't say abnormally. It's in the mid-40s, and they're talking next Friday, which is the 23rd, 2 days before Christmas. We're supposed to be like 50 degrees here in Iowa, which, last year I think it was like negative 20 degrees Fahrenheit. So, anyways, I'm looking forward to seeing how this works. I don't see a reason why it won't work. It's just more of a question of how long it will last. And, we'll see what happens, and I'll share it with you guys as we go along the trip here. I'm not going to go out and do any testing with it on the concrete because, well, it's going to drag it. I think it's just a matter of how well it performs on the snow and how long it does last riding against those rough edges, rough surfaces. So anywho, if you guys want to stick around and catch the videos of the upcoming testing of this and to give some feedback, I would greatly appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button. If you guys liked the video or thought the idea was a good idea, give me a thumbs up. And if you didn't, give me a thumbs down. But give me some feedback on how I can make this channel better, or maybe what I did wrong here. There's a lot that could be argued wrong. You shouldn't be using recycled plastic like this. This is going to cause other issues. But let me know your thoughts. I think it looks pretty professionally done myself. I think it's going to be worth the money and time. It only took me probably 15 minutes to lay this all out and do it. Really not very long at all. And I think it's gonna be worth the money saved. Because like I said, this same size thing, a 2x6 piece of UHMW was like $300 and some odd. And I have a hard time spending that kind of money when I spent $300 in its entirety for the blade. Now, obviously, they got a killer deal on it, but still $700 normally. And you want to put another $300 edge on it, you've got a $1,000 blade. And maybe this is going to work just fine. We're going to find out. We'll share more about that when we get there. Thanks again for stopping in. My name's Kyle. Take care of one another. Hopefully it snows sometime soon, but stays around long enough to plow it and goes away. Thanks again for stopping in. Take care of one another. If you're watching this during the holiday times, happy holidays. I do appreciate you all. I'll see ya. Snow. Let's clean this mess up now. I got so much to do.